can take what's yours, but you gon' leave what's mine. I'd rather die than go home. I'd rather die.
Guys, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. Today we're going to review my second set from the House of Andy Tower. We did L'air du Desert Americain a while back. That has turned to a real favorite scent of mine. I love the jasmine and the incense and the vanilla. It's just stunning. And Andy Tower is just so good for the online fragrance community. He embraces us, always thinks ahead in terms of what he's doing. He did that really well with the very wallet-friendly Flash collection that's recently been announced, and he put out 2 fragrances within that collection. Everything he does just oozes thought and quality. And if you want some Tower backstory, please do check out the review that I did of L'air du Desert Americain last year. This one is interesting. You know, I'm not a rose guy. My viewers know that. So when everyone was talking this one up, I was sort of like, leave me out. But then I heard so many times that this one really isn't about rose, and there's so much more to it. So to make a long story short, I got a sample from Twisted Lily. I was impressed, and so I did pick up a bottle. And now left on my Tower to purchase list are the 2 Flash fragrances he has released so far, Rose and Vanilla, and Lone Star Memories, which is sort of a dirty leather fragrance. Rose de Kandahar isn't the easiest fragrance in the world to purchase, and the reason why is because the very expensive rose oil used to make this scent comes from Kandahar in Afghanistan, and because of the limited amount of oil that's available each year, when this one gets produced, it's certain number of bottles are made. Then when it's sold, it sells out. It's not available till the year after when that oil becomes available again. So it's not a year-round thing. You can get Tower fragrances in general at Min in New York, Twisted Lily as well, and online Lucky Scent and Indigo Perfumery both carry Andy Tower. But when I wanted my bottle at the time, the only store that had a bottle of Rose de Kandahar was Twisted Lily. I think I got the last one at the time. I think they might have got a few more in. And this one only comes in one size. That's a 50 ml. It comes in one concentration. That's eau de parfum. And it costs $160. It was originally released in 2013. And as far as notes go on this one, you've got apricot, almond, cinnamon, bergamot, Bulgarian rose absolute, Kandahar rose, bourbon, geranium, tobacco leaf, patchouli, vetiver, vanilla, tonka bean, musk, and ambergris. Now, as far as presentation goes, I love the Tower boxes. They come with this sleeve, Tower immersive sculptures. You have your name of the fragrance on the back, and then this tin slides out, and then in the tin slide it off, and there's a little insert, and always Andy Tower signs it, enjoy Andy Tower, and the fragrance sits really nicely inside, and then you just slide the top on the tin. And then as far as your bottle goes, and then by the way on the side you have the name Phi Un Rose de Kandahar. Now as far as your bottle goes, it is sort of your typical Tower bottle. It has that, I believe, pentacord shape. It has 5 sides. This one is transparent. Sometimes they're beautiful blue. And it has Tower across here. It has Phi Un Rose de Kandahar there. 50 ml eau de parfum. You have on the bottom the lot number. And then the cap sort of twists off. And then you have a really nice atomizer that shoots out a really nice distribution of juice. So I happen to be a great fan of the presentation. I love the way these feel in your hand. That design was intentional. So as I said, everything that Andy Tower does with his fragrances is really well thought out. So as far as this fragrance goes, for me, it's not about rose. It opens up with apricot, cinnamon, and a tartness that to me is sort of reminiscent of a Granny Smith apple, even though I know that's not in the note breakdown. And then it also has this powdery explosion of almond with that cinnamon. There's just so much going on with this one. So the opening, remember, if you want to try to get a picture of this in your mind, is about a very fruity apricot note that has some tartness to it, almost apple-like, as well as cinnamon, a powdery, very sweet almond, and some nice bergamot in there as well. That's the explosive opening on this one. It really isn't until you reach the heart of this fragrance that the rose starts to show itself off. It's not a jammy rose, it's not a floral rose, it's a very light and almost fresh and enlivened rose. It's almost fruity as well. And also, the rose, for whatever reason, I get a little bit of greenness to it. Now, that green could be from the geranium. Geranium can sometimes have a minty quality about it. Just look at Geranium Point Monsieur by Frederick Malle. But I do get a sort of greenness with the rose. And then as this one dries down in the skin, what I start to pick up is a little bit of tobacco leaf, some patchouli. It becomes a little bit earthy with the vetiver, a little bit animalic with the musk, and you've got some nice vanilla in there as well. It's a journey, and a journey that seems to be a little bit different each time I put this one on my skin. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not an easy scent for me to sum up or to explain, and it took me almost a couple months after I got this one to really feel like I could give it any sort of review. There's just so many materials that Andy Tauer used to make this one, and the blending is second to none. Tauer blends just so well. I think of the scents of his that I love, this and Lair and Lone Star, and they're all very complicated in terms of what they smell like, but the balance is so spectacular, and it's just so calculated, and for me, I think it's really precise. Now, performance on this one is incredible. I get great longevity and projection, and this is a scent that does evolve on my skin, and it does tell a story the way that a good perfume is supposed to. I wouldn't be surprised if wearing this someone thought you were wearing a different fragrance later in the day, but to the wearer, this one will remain familiar, and there's a common thread tying everything together. It is not disjointed in the least. It is an absolutely unisex fragrance. I think it's a rare fragrance that can really work well in 4 seasons out of the year. It feels very comforting and warming in the cold, and yet very refreshing and juicy in the heat. I think this is one that I like to wear to impress, you know, when I'm going to be around important people. I really love this one with a suit on or dressed up, but I feel like it's too special to wear on regular work days. Now, if you can't get this, and I know it's hard, and you were sort of looking for something similar or cheaper, I really can't help you. This is one of the few scents that I just can't really make a comparison to. I would say if you want to sort of get a little bit of a feel for what Tauer can do with rose, you can check out some of his other rose scents, like the rose incense from his regular lineup of fragrances, or rose flash from his new flash line. But this one, guys, is out in its own island in terms of comparing it to anything else out there. If someone were trying to talk you into buying this, I think they tell you that this is a really special perfume, and so special that Andy Tauer doesn't compromise. He only makes it when he can get the rose oil that he needs, and this one has the craft of an Andy Tauer product. It feels like it's a premium perfume that could be worn by men or women in any weather. It's versatile, but wants to be worn on very particular occasions. I think if someone were trying to dissuade you from purchasing this one, they might tell you that it's hard to get. You know, is it going to be worth it for you? It's a pricey perfume, and everyone might not love it because it is bold, and it might not fit everyone's idea of a rose fragrance. For me, guys, man, do I love this one. I still don't look at it as a rose perfume. It's not like, I don't feel like, oh, I finally fell in love with a rose perfume, and maybe that's me being stubborn, but rose isn't the first thing that I think of when I think of or smell this fragrance. I think of apricot, I think of almond, I think of cinnamon, I think of geranium, I think of vanilla, I think of tobacco leaf, and yeah, I also think of rose. But it's so much more than just rose, and it really does feel like an amalgamation. For a Tauer scent, this is a bit of a premium price, and that's okay because it's a premium scent, and I really do adore it. And I'm going to give Rose de Kandahar a 10 out of 10. I've vacillated between a 9.5 or a 9 because it's hard to get, and I don't feel comfortable wearing it all the time because it's so good. But that's okay. And I can't penalize Andy for being so meticulous and demanding. And this is one that I really wanted to give a 10 out of 10 to. So fuck it, 10 out of 10. I think he's made a perfect scent. And when a perfumer can do that without letting one really stunning note dominate the composition, well, then he or she has done something really special. And this is a special scent. And if you can get your nose on it, do so. Even if you're not a fan of rose, it's about much more. It's stunning. And I think every indie perfumer out there should aspire to be Andy Tower and make fragrances the way that Andy Tower makes fragrances, the way that he's able to source materials and blend them together perfectly so that they fade in and out of the composition is equivalent to watching an athlete in their prime play. It's equivalent to watching Kobe Bryant dribble through a defender, or Peyton Manning loft a touch pass to Demaryius Thomas in the corner of the end zone. It's equivalent to watching Greg Maddux dot the corner of the plate perfectly and strike out Barry Bonds. You know, we look at those acts with such awe and wonder, but to the people that do them, it comes so naturally. It's what they do. Rose de Kandahar is what Andy Tower does, and we should all be very, very, very thankful that he does that. So guys, this has been my review of Un Rose de Kandahar. If you have any questions about this fragrance, of course, feel free to shoot me an email or leave a message. You can email me at maxno@gmail.com. I was going to review this one much later down the line, but I was just so excited by it that I just wanted to slip it in there earlier. And so any questions, hit me up. You know what it is. We'll be back this week, next week, with more videos and a lot of good stuff coming up for you guys. I promise, ton of content, ton of surprises. So you know what it is. Guys, I'm Maximilian.
Niggas, my better half chose the better path, applaud them. Younger brother me, a spoiled child, I fought him. I heard that the devil's new playground is boredom. The California top just falls.